Welcome to Proven and Probable. Today, we have some exciting breaking news coming to you from Australia as Novo Resources has just accomplished a significant milestone by announcing the strategic acquisition to fast-track the company's property portfolio into production. I want to underscore today's press release is breaking news. Before we begin, as always, I would appreciate if you click the subscribe button and click the bell. Now, on to today's interview. Joining us for a conversation is the chairman and president of Novo Resources, Dr. Quinton Hennigh. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Maurice.
What I'd like to have you back on the program today is Novo Resources has just positioned themselves on the fast track to production. Dr. Hennigh, before we begin, please introduce Novo Resources and the opportunity the company presents to the market.
You know, it's a very exciting point right now. I've interviewed several times with you over the past 3 or 4 years, and I've always talked about Novo being an explorer, but now I got to talk about Novo going into production. So here we are. Novo is an exploration, but now production directed company. We are moving towards production through this new acquisition. We are focused in Northwest Australia in a region called the Pilbara. The Pilbara is better known for iron ore, perhaps, but we've discovered conglomerate gold deposits, which they're unusual with respect to most gold deposits, but they're what we think is a very, very big prize, and we're just delighted to be able to now put these into production.
Speaking of the Pilbara, let's go to the 100% owned Beatons Creek project, where Novo Resources has some breaking news. Dr. Hennigh, what would you like to tell shareholders?
Well, we've been advancing Beatons Creek now for 10 years. Okay, we acquired the project it was actually an earn-in joint venture with Millennium Minerals, the neighboring company, when we first started. Mark Creasy also put in some ground into Novo through, again, joint venture. It was ground that surrounded the Beatons Creek area. So that's really where we got our start. We started drilling there way back in 2011. We advanced it to a point where we had an initial resource in 2013. We upgraded that resource in 2015, and we've been diligently working on this deposit since. Okay, we've been doing a lot of hard yards around things like native title, getting basically a commercial agreement with the native corporations. We've also gotten our permitting done, so we have our oxide permitted and so forth. Like, these are things that we've been ticking away at on the background. They're all done. They're ready. Why are they ready? Because we wanted to put this in production. There's a mill very nearby. It belonged to Millennium Minerals. Millennium was an operating company until late last year. They mined their oxide deposits, depleted those, got into their sulfide, had some struggles around recoveries around the sulfide mineralization. So basically, they had cash flow issues and went into administration around November of 2019. The company then went through receivership, came out the other end in May. We've just announced that we're acquiring the Millennium company in its entirety out of the private current holding company, which is IMC Holdings out of Singapore. This combined with our assets in the region basically bolts together the entire Nullagine district, which is a big win for us, but it also gives us access to a very, we'll call it very large mill. It's been operating at 1.88 million ton per annum over the past few years. And, it really is ideally suited. It's ideally designed. Basically it's compatible with all our mineralization at Beatons Creek. So we're delighted because this gives us a fast track to production.
I always talk about the geological and business acumen that the entire team has. And I always share with people when I reference your name, you are a business and geological chess grandmaster. And this transaction really exemplifies it because you've strategically positioned the company to really grow organically. Can you talk about that some more?
Certainly. Yeah, look, that is our chief objective here. Okay, I worked for Newcrest many years ago, and it was a time when the company was just getting started and it grew through organic means. I want to replicate that. That was a fun experience. Love exploration. I love the possibility of and potential of finding more deposits and really moving them towards production. In this case, we're going to use this acquisition as a foundation. This mill has a good capacity. We can use Beaton's Creek as a base load, but we have lots of other assets in the immediate region. We also have assets across the greater Pilbara region, as you know. Okay, what does this do for us? Well, it allows us to start tapping some of our existing assets, particularly in the immediate area, and really looking at those as now, more on a production-based schedule. We can start advancing them through the various motions, permitting and so forth that are needed to get them into production. So that's a big win. I mean, that's, basically we're looking at building, a pipeline of deposits we can bring online, keep production going at the mill for many, many years. But the cash flow also allows us to open up other projects. Okay, Egina, for example, we can now fast track through the cash flow that we're deriving from this operation. We can, as people know, the Egina story is basically a gravel at surface. We envision mining it on a continual mining basis, where we basically have machines in the field that mine, process, recover the gold on a continual basis. So this can be fast tracked now through this cash flow. Things like Karratha, way out in the West Pilbara. Karratha is interesting. It's a conglomerate deposit, very similar to Beaton's Creek, but it's got very coarse gold. What do we know about it? We know we can mechanically sort the rock there, upgrade the rock, and produce a very high-grade concentrate. What this mill does gives us a place to put that concentrate. Okay, so we can now turn Karratha into a new producing asset. We, let's say we, scale it at something just hypothetically like 1 million tons a year. I'm not saying that's the number we're picking. I'm just saying for easy math, so people can understand our where we're at mentally around this. 1 million tons can be reduced to maybe 10,000 tons of concentrate, so 100 to 1. And then that concentrate will have a resulting grade that's much, much higher, approximately 100 to 1. All right, so you can then truck that concentrate over to Nullagine, put it through the mill, and you have instant increased gold output. This is a huge win for us.
It certainly is. And if you could you somewhat compare and contrast the strategic vision you have in the cash flow versus what this transaction really did to the balance sheet?
Look, as an exploration company, you don't have cash flow. You're always reliant on equity raises to sustain yourself. We're moving past it now. We're going to have very good cash flow. I think this acquisition, but the production we'll see from it is going to basically make Novo self-sustaining for forever at this point. I mean, that's our vision. Okay, so cash balance, we had just under $30 million in the bank at the time we announced this deal. We do have to pay up for the asset. We have to pay in cash and shares. We also have to capitalize the operation. We know what needs to be done. We've estimated the capital that's required. We figure it's on the order of $30 million. So let's go through the numbers. Right now, we have, I think, 26, maybe 27 million in the bank. We have a loan facility that helps with this acquisition. That was from Sprott Lending. By the way, that loan facility was very key. We had that support from Sprott on that front to help us get this deal done, to demonstrate to IMC that we're not mucking around, and we're very serious about getting this deal done. So the Sprott Lending facility, the first tranche, is about 35 million US, which is, I think, roughly 45 million Canadian at the moment. All right, so that gives us a lot of the cash we need for the acquisition. Now we're raising some as well. We announced a raise of 30 on the back of the transaction. That was on Tuesday. It was announced an upsize to 42.5 on Wednesday, I believe it was, Wednesday afternoon. That money will help go to pay the remaining cash for the purchase price, but also help capitalize things. Okay, so we've thought about this inside and out. We know exactly, what kind of magnitude of dollars we need to make things work. We didn't want to be caught short. God forbid we would do something like try to acquire this and then go back to the market to raise money. That's usually the kiss of death, because everybody knows you need money desperately at that point. We did this in what I think was the right way. We were aggressive about how we pursued the equity raise. The guys at Sprott, including probably Eric and the head of Sprott Lending, knew that this loan that they gave us would help leverage a raise. Okay, so we're coming out of this smelling like a rose. In my view, it was the optimal case for advancing this and getting us into a position where we're a producing company. One thing, Maurice, that's really important for people to understand, and it's this context that is really where our mind is at. Okay, production companies, they don't just fall out of the sky. Okay, to go from exploration to production, you have to. There's kind of a quantum you have to of money and effort and so forth that you have to get past to make that leap. Well, most exploration companies, if they advance their project and they have to take it to production, they have to, oftentimes spend years and capitalize things, and it's a painful exercise. By the time they're, to the point of building the mine, they dilute. In this case, 15% dilution. Okay, think about that for a minute. Mm-hmm. We're an exploration company. We're making this quantum leap. Both the acquisition and the capital we're raising to get this meet this goal is going to result in something like 15% dilution. I think that's a huge win. I can't think of any exploration company that's actually made this kind of leap for that little that little sacrifice. So I think it's a great outcome.
Well, I don't think you're alone. Look at how the market has responded. You start off with $30 million. The market says, no. We want in and we want more.
Well, yeah. Look, it was encouraging to see that level of support there. We had a lot of existing shareholders show up. I mean, as soon as this deal was announced, Leo and I were getting calls like, "Hey, you wouldn't believe it." I mean, Leo's phone message or message bank or whatever was full almost instantly. I had probably 200 or 300 emails come in within 2 or 3 hours of the announcement. People interested in helping them with the finance, and we were just busy scrambling, pointing them in the right direction, who to talk to, et cetera. But we got it done. I mean, it was very encouraging to see that level of interest. We got the money in that we need, and I think we'll have a lot of very happy shareholders here when they see how well this story is going to perform. This is going to be, I think this will be one of the lowest cost gold producers in the industry, quite frankly. So, a very good ending.
Well, and speaking of that, I had an opportunity to interview a mutual friend of ours, Bob Moriarty, the founder of 321 Gold. And he shared an interview that we just did this week that Novo Resources, in his opinion, is going to be the biggest gold company. That speaks volumes when it comes from Bob, because Bob is if anyone knows Bob, and I know you know Bob, he is a straight shooter. He's a marksman. He's a sniper. Right. And for him to make that comment, that's a tall order, but that's how much confidence he has in what you're doing there.
Well, look, Bob's been down to Australia, to the Pilbara, many times now. I think at least 6 times that I can remember. He knows all of the assets. He's been to most of them at least once, if not multiple times. He knows the potential. He's been there from the beginning, and we're very grateful for all the help he's provided. I remember the first time I met Bob was prior to Novo. It was in 2008. It was during the global financial crisis, and I was running a company called Evolving Gold at the time. We had a project in Wyoming. We drove up to Wyoming in the middle of a blizzard. I remember this. Bob is just chattering away the whole way up in the car, and I'm desperately trying not to drive off the highway. But we made it all the way up there. We made it all the way up to the top of the mountain. He looked out the window. He said, "I'm good." We drove all the way back in one day.
Yeah, that's Bob.
Bob is. Anyway, he came over to the Pilbara, I think in 2009, after I told him about this project. This is before Novo, of course. He actually helped, we'll say, persuade Mr. Creasy to do the deal with us. Bob's been there at every step. He knows the story, the company very well, and he's been a tremendous help. So we're very grateful.
Sorry for the interruption, folks, but I do want to remind you, everything we're covering today with Dr. Quinton Hennigh you can find in the description box below. And if you like our content, I would appreciate if you give us a thumbs up. Now, back to the interview. Now, sir, before we leave the Pilbara, do we have an expected timeline on when production will begin on the Beatons Creek?
It's a very good question. Okay, so just so people know, we do have, we'll call it our oxide or stage 1 permitted at Beatons Creek. So we've done all that work in the background to make sure that we're ready on our side. What we couldn't advance until we had this acquisition out of the way was the permitting on their side. Okay, so we need to attain permits for disposal of Beatons Creek tailings in the tailings facility, for example. These are formalities. This is not a huge undertaking. It's stuff we have to do. These things are going to take a few months. We call it maybe three or 4 months. So by the end of the year, we expect to have all our permits in hand to go ahead and start processing rock. But in the meantime, because we do have the mining permit, we envision commencing excavation activities within a few weeks after closing the deal. All right, so from right now, the timeline looks like this. We've got probably 3 to 4 week period to close the deal, close the financings, get everything done and dusted. They will then do things like they're going to do we'll call it an initial grade control program on the areas they're going to start mining. That's basically doing some RC drilling and very rapid assaying and so forth to understand and better define. It's just a part of mining is grade control drilling. And then we'll start excavating and probably in the first part of the fourth quarter. The goal is to get a stockpile of ore over to the mill, build up a stockpile of maybe a few 100,000 tons before the mill's turned on. That gives us some breathing room. We don't want to be left scrambling, so we'll probably flip the mill on sometime, maybe late this year, but probably more likely first quarter next. My bet is it'll probably be for that first quarter. Bear in mind we have a lot of things to do right now. We got to hire a lot of people. Okay, we're going to have a big company here soon. So everybody's down in Australia scrambling. I'm actually very lucky, Maurice. I'm in Colorado, so I don't have to do all that stuff. I'll let the professionals handle that. But look, we're quite busy. The other things we've looked at, there's some critical component. I don't mean to ramble on here, but I think it's important stuff for people to understand. Our ore has more gravity gold in it. Okay, so we don't want to just put the rock through and it's with the mill in its current configuration. We want to put a gravity circuit on the front end that's more compatible with the large volume of gravity gold we expect. So we'll put on a beefier gravity circuit. It's not a big dollar item. It's just something that has to get done. It's probably I think $1.5 million or so. We have to do some we'll call it cosmetic work on the mill itself. We have to reline a couple of tanks and stuff. They're looking at haul roads and all these things. Okay, there's a lot of things that have to be ticked off before we get into production. But we'll get there. We got the team to do it. I'm very confident in everyone. We have hired a new GM. Chris Martin is his name. Very well seasoned mining engineer. He has operated many mines. He'll run circles around this. One of the other things that I like to address is this: the water that's needed for processing. Millennium always struggled for water. If you look, they had they started production in 2012. They had very little cash to work with at that time, so they kind of tried to we'll say bootstrap the water situation by drilling water bores, on an as needed basis. But it always kept them off. They were a bit off center, like they just couldn't keep up with the water demand. We don't want to get in that situation. The ground we picked up from Mark Creasy here recently is actually very critical, because that ground, especially the ground to the south, has some rock that we know is highly fractured and has a lot of water in it. What that means is we can now, take the next few months, drill proper bore fields, make sure we have a source of water, so we don't have any, we don't want to get off on the wrong foot here. We want to have lots of water ahead of us. So there's a lot of things we've been thinking about for many years. Everything we've done is very deliberate, very focused on getting this production in place. We've seen this day coming for a long time, and here we are.
Today's press release is a huge, huge feather in your cap. But let's leave Beaton's Creek here if we can for a moment. You got a commanding land package of 13,750 square kilometers. Talk to us about the other projects in the property bank.
Well, okay, let's talk about the opportunities in the immediate vicinity. First of all, at Beaton's Creek itself, now that we have 100% control on the ground surrounding Beaton's Creek, through buying out Mark Creasy, his joint venture interest, we can now expand the deposit right there. So that's a huge win. I think we'll be able to grow Beaton's Creek dramatically over the next few years. We have other things like we bought Mount Elsie from a private party. That's a gold system that many people have known about for eons. It's right there in the Nullagine camp. It's basically been a stranded asset. We're going to get out there and explore it. I think we'll have, we might find some nice add-ons to this production story. Here's a real win for us. Okay, this is one of the best in terms of just immediate potential. The Golden Eagle deposit, which was Millennium's main pit, and it's right next to the mill. There's an extension of that deposit onto the ground that we bought from Mark Creasy recently. When I say extension, geologically, we see the deposit going over onto this ground. Okay, we think there's a very good chance we can discover oxide resources right there, right next to the mill, that could quickly be developed. What's a win like that? That's worth something right there. Okay, so all of this stuff we've been doing around acquisitions and stuff, very strategic. We knew exactly what we wanted, and how we're going to bring it into this picture. We've been thinking about this for years. Okay, let's step out a little further from Nullagine. Let's go up to Marble Bar area. We've got Talga. That's a load system. We've talked about it in the past a few times. It's not been front and center. Obviously, we do conglomerates mainly, but Talga is a very high grade system. We think we can start to develop very quickly as an open pit operation and truck that material down. When I say high grade, I'm talking like 3 to 5 gram kind of stuff in open pit. We might be able to truck that down to Nullagine. Okay, there's a big win. There's things like Contact Creek and Virgin Creek up by Marble Bar, which are conglomerate systems like Beaton's Creek. What can we do there? Well, the cash flow helps us advance those more quickly, but we've also been doing the mechanical sorting. We can envision, say, upgrading material from those deposits, like through mechanical sorting, upgrade the gold content, but also decrease the overall volumes we have to deal with, and we can maybe truck that down to the mill. Okay, so those are wins in we'll call it the East Pilbara. Where's the big win? Cash flow for developing the rest of this. We got Egina. Egina, I think, as a standalone project, as we move it forward and it can accelerate over the next few years, I think that's going to be a big, big win. I think that alone is going to be as big or bigger than the Nullagine operation, okay, in terms of gold production and so forth, the meaning to this company. But we can tap things like Karratha. Like I said earlier, we can now look at Karratha as, we'll call it a gravel operation where you mine, crush, screen, sort the material, and you truck it over to Nullagine. All of a sudden we're getting value out of all of these assets. Like there's more, I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not looking to just, find a level and stop. I see this as a beginning. Okay, this acquisition is an absolute foundation for the company, and we're going to grow from here. We might even look, Novo's picked up strategic positions in several companies here recently. Why? Well, I want to grow the company. I've told people this several times. I want to build, what is really the highest margin, best performing gold company on earth. I've got about 10 or 12 good years left before I retire, or else I keel over. I don't know which. But I want to get this thing. This is my passion. I want to get the company going. I want to go through this organic growth and really build something that's going to just blow everyone else out of the water.
Well, we look forward to seeing everything come to fruition as it has. You've demonstrated that in the past. You have a proven pedigree of success, and I'm a proud shareholder. I don't think I shared this with you, but I was in the last financing at 66 cents, and I have not sold those shares nor the warrants, and I will be participating in this financing. So I have full confidence in you, sir.
Thank you. Me too. I'm going to participate. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Leaving the property bank. In closing, we've covered the good. What keeps you up at night that we don't know about?
Look, inside of Novo at this point, I am so comfortable with all the technical work and our understanding of all our assets. I'm very comfortable with working in Western Australia where they're very mining focused. I know that we're not going to have dramas and headaches and stuff. I know that through this acquisition, we can get to the goal of sustainability. I know that we have the team to operate this, and I'm very grateful for the team we have. The people we have just been absolutely fantastic. The new people coming in are also equally fantastic. I'm very grateful to everyone. What keeps me up at night isn't really anything to do with Novo. It's more to do with what we're seeing in the world today. I got to say, I've seen gold cycles. This one is very interesting. Since March, when the pandemic kind of hit the U.S., we've seen gold go from it was around $1,400 and something up to well over $2,000 an ounce. That's a huge increase. And when you put that in perspective of gold moves in the past, I can't think of anything quite like this, other than maybe the late most 1970s. When there was just a sickening feeling inside the country that we were heading down a very bad path. Inflation was running rampant, and there was nothing settled in this nation. We're back at that point where, I hate to say, but we're here in the United States. Now it's the world. I mean, there's definitely a palpable sense there's trouble in the world. I'd love to say, gold, $3,000 gold, is a dream. It's great for gold mining, I suppose. I don't know. But I'll tell you, I'm not sure any of us want to live in a world when gold's $3,000 an ounce. It's a worry.
Those are very responsible words, and you and I had that discussion last night about the social impact. Yeah, personally, we may benefit, but what about the rest of society for the metal prices to be in that position, if not higher? And we're not here to make a projection on the gold price, but just a very responsible word, so I commend you on that. Finally, sir, what did I forget to ask?
Well, I guess if there's one thing I'd like to leave people with or frame this whole discussion with, where are we going to be in 10 years? This is the big vision. I guess I touched on it, but if you said, where is Novo going to be in 10 years? There's your question. Okay. I'd like to see us. We don't have to be the biggest gold producer on earth. In fact, I'm appalled to see companies that focus just on volume. I want to be the highest margin gold producer on earth. That's what my vision. I want to build a company where we're producing gold at a sustainable level for the highest margin we can achieve. Okay, and that's where I think gold mining should focus is the margins. It's not about volume so much as it is the margin, and I want to see us get there.
Yeah, it's all about quality versus quantity, and I'm with you on that one, sir. All right, Dr. Hennigh, for someone listening that wants to get more information about Novo Resources, please share the website address.
Yeah, we can be found at www.novoresources.com.
Dr. Hennigh, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Wishing you and Novo Resources the absolute best, sir. Novo Resources is a sponsor of Proven and Probable, and we are proud shareholders for the virtues conveyed in today's message. Novo Resources trades on the TSXV symbol NVO and on the OTCQX symbol NSRPF. Before you make your next bullion purchase, make sure you call me. I'm a licensed representative to buy and sell physical precious metals through Miles Franklin Precious Metals Investments. We have several options to expand your precious metals portfolio, from physical delivery of gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and rhodium to offshore depositories and precious metal IRAs. Give me a call at 855-505-1900 or you may email maurice@milesfranklin.com. Finally, please subscribe to Proven and Probable for mining insights and bullion sales. Subscription is free.
The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.